906 Outdoors is brought to you in part by Orion Hunting Products. The UP is home to a wealth of great places, natural wonders, and unique people. It's also a land steeped in tradition. Traditions like hunting.
A deer license was $1.25, and a small game license was $1. We didn't have $1, we'd spend it for shells. We didn't spend it for licenses.
Sit back, put your feet up and the remote down, and stick around for this special edition of 906 Outdoors UP Camp Stories.
Up here, we just turn back the clock, live life the way we want it to be.
9 million acres of forest, 1,700 miles of continuous shoreline, 4,300 lakes, 12,000 miles of streams, more than 300 waterfalls, 15 counties, 2 time zones, and 1 area code. Welcome to the Upper Peninsula. Welcome to 906 Outdoors. "906 Outdoors" is brought to you by Cooking Wild Seasonings. Make it fresh, make it yours. Slip into my hunting boots, suit up, grab the same trusty 30-30 that my dad bought me when I was 14, walk out of camp, check the wind, and head out into the woods. It's the same woods where I've cut firewood and hunted grouse, but it's all different now. Now it's time to hunt deer, and that changes everything. I have a list a mile long of things I've managed to put off all summer. Things I know I must do before the ground turns white. Stuff to put away, wood to split, but none of that matters right now. Regardless of the urgency or importance, it can all be put off. It will be put off for 2 more weeks. It's deer season in the UP, and that trumps everything. It's a short distance from the door of the camp to the hunting grounds. But when I close the door and step off the porch, that mile-long list of things I need to do couldn't get further away. Hunting has certainly changed, even since I've started. Different rules, different methods of hunting. So I can only imagine how it's changed since the early part of this century. I had the opportunity to talk to a hunter who could tell me firsthand.
But that there one had 217 points on Boone and Crockett.
Oh, yeah.
But there was none typical. First year I was home from the Army, he had 18 points. He had 10 on one side and 8 on the other. And you see the double brow points on him? He weighed 243 pounds when he went across on the ferry to Lower Michigan. They had a checkpoint there. The guys come up here hunting, they had to take the ferry across. With my cousin, they took that buck back. They wanted just bucks to show off up here. We wanted something to eat, and the bucks weren't that good eating, you know. you wanted something good to eat, you had to shoot yourself. It was maybe 2.5 years old.
It's a lot better.
I think that there's some old granddaddies dead, and they got more chance of getting by now than they have for many years. Nobody makes drives anymore. They don't go in the dirty spots. If they don't get home with all their binoculars and scopes on their rifle and stuff, you can't shoot through the brush with the damn things. You gotta have an open spot to pull the trigger on, you know. And it used to be the drive. We carried a shotgun with us for making the drive. We never carried a rifle. 90% of the time, the big bucks, they never come out on the drive. They try to run back in between the drivers. Use buckshot. I'm a firm believer, I don't have to be that good of a hunter. You go out and you spend 10, 12 hours in that woods. And don't go running through and bumping into trees and stuff. But just go out, walk a little bit, sit a little bit, find some scrapes or rubs or a lot of runaways crossing. Spend a little time there when you get cold, move nice and slow, and you warm up moving slow better than you do if you're moving fast. That's the way I hunt. The way they hunt today, you can't walk through the woods, you're slipping on the pumpkin.
906 Outdoors is brought to you by Race Driven. your source for premier power sports products.
When I was about 5 years old, I shot a rabbit. My dad had to hold the shotgun up on the end. And somebody was down there with a camera. We never owned a camera at home. We couldn't afford one, to tell you the truth. It was depression, you know. And
what year would that be?
well, in the 20s, 24, 25. Anyway, I shot that rabbit, and we got a picture of that rabbit, and I'm only maybe about that. I started hunting young. I was brought up in the day, my dad, there was no hunter safety course. You went out, and when you could make a drive in strange country, he'd tell you where I'm going to post. He'd say, no, you make a drive through there. When you went through there without having to holler for help to get over to him, you could carry a gun to hunt with. Before that, you didn't. I've been hunting a long time. I shot my first buck alone, wasn't hunting with anybody, and I shot it with that old shotgun. We hunted, you carried the single barrel with it broke open. Fact is, I got one here if you want me to show you how we did it. You had it broke open, you had a buckshot in between these two fingers here and a fine shot in between these two fingers here. And you held her by the barrel. Didn't really make much difference what came through. If it was a big long-tailed one, you slip the buckshot, close her up, you're ready to shoot. If it was a rabbit or something like that, you slipped it through from the other side. I never bought a license until I come home from the Army. Deer license was $1.25, and a small game license was $1. We didn't have $1, we'd spend it for shells. We didn't spend it for licenses, you know. Shotgun shells went for about 2.5 cents a piece, you know, the short brass. Well, there was no long brass on them because the express shells were too strong for them Damascus barrels. We wounded a big buck back by the fox farm in Hermantown. You know how far that is straight across from here. Then we started trailing them, and it got dark, like it's getting out there now. It's hard to find blood anymore or anything. So anyway, I said to him, I said, well, I'm not going home. I'll stay on that track until dark. They wanted to get out in the daylight to find their way back to the fox farm. And I said, I'll stay with it and spend the night. If I find it, otherwise the coyotes and stuff, and they clean it. This guy lost that nice 8-pointer in bow season this year down here. The wolves and the coyotes eat it up before morning. And I didn't want to, and it was a nice 12-point buck. Well, anyway, I found that buck and I dressed it out and I slept alongside that buck. And the next morning, them guys came out and I hollered them in. We pulled it across the Chronic Soul place and brought him out. That's what you call a hunting trip.
Yeah, that's a ways.
Yeah, and you slept in there, slept on the trail. I think, and there's nothing really to be proud of. I think I shot every species of game that there is in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, you know. Mm-hmm. Lynx, I shot lynx, bobcats. And, I lived in the woods. And when I was 15 years old, that's how old I was when I shot that bear. I was 15 years old. And when my uncles and my dad and them, I was in the woods, I knew where the deer was. I told them where to post and where the drive was going. Already then, you know, I lived in the woods, and I still do. I lived in town, I wasn't very happy till I got down here. I told Mom when we bought this place here, I said, well, I'm staying there until when they haul me out of here, there'll be feet first.
We'll be back to visit with Slip shortly. Today's show is brought to you in part by Rapid River Knife Works, home of Michigan's largest custom knife factory showroom.
My sister, I'll tell you a true story. She had 2 boys. She come up here with them. Her first husband died. They were 8, 9, 10 years old. She said, I want you to teach my boys how to shoot and how to hunt. Well, I said, you're going to leave them up here for the summer? She said, no, I'm just up here for the weekend. I said, don't leave them off. take them back to home. There is no way that I can take a young fella on a weekend and teach him how to hunt and how to handle a rifle. No way. I would take him out in the woods and he had to stay with me. And I told Andy, you ask Andy when I started taking him out, I took him out and I put blood on him from the buck. I made him follow that wounded buck. It wasn't wounded. It was shot right through the chest. But where it run, and I came in to get help to drag it out of the swamp. And Lorraine was carrying Andy on a backpack. And he was saying, where is it, Grandpa? Where is it? He was maybe 5 years old. So I said to his mother, I said, you take him on that pack you got on his back. I got down, I said, you make some circles in the snow there. You find some tracks with blood on them, follow them. Time you start to learn how to hunt. He circled around and he said, I found some blood. Well, I said, follow him. He went the wrong way. So I had to explain to him about go which way the tracks are pointing. He would come up that buck, and he loved that buck. He took it till he got that buck. He hugged it. Oh. And I took him, got blood on my hands, and I put it on his face. I said, now you're a hunter.
More from Slip in a bit. The walls of many a UP camp are decorated with reminders of successful deer hunts from the past. Here's a few tips from Tim Garantian of North Country Legends Taxidermy in Escanaba on proper care of your prized mounts.
What I'm going to do first is clean the coat of the animal. So I'm just going to lightly, with the grain of the hair, blow the dust off the mount. I'm running about 60 pounds of pressure here. If you're losing a few hairs here and there, it's nothing to be concerned about. If you're losing dozens of them while you blow on it, you probably ought to reconsider using the compressed air. You can also use a hair dryer on a high setting with low heat. So the next thing we're going to do, we're going to turn our attention to the antlers. And I'm just taking a soft cloth and I'm going to dust them. I'm just going to take a piece of paper towel and dampen that with some Mop and Glow. Down at the bottom where it's knobby, you're going to kind of have to press it on there. If you try and wipe too much, you're just going to shred the paper towel. Now this will impart a pretty heavy shine to it if you put a heavy coat and leave it dry. If you don't want them to be that glossy, as soon as you wipe that on, then come back with a dry one and wipe most of it off. It's probably the most natural look if you kind of just turn around and wipe it. You don't really want to let it pool because it will dry a little bit with a white cast to it. And that's pretty good. That's leaving us a good, nice, polished, natural look to the antlers. The next area we're going to look at is the eyes. And I'm just using another commonly available product, a Windex or Glass Plus. You don't want to get a lot of solvents around the painted area on the leather around the eye. Hold tight right to the edges, staying on the glass, and come back with a soft rag, then buff that out. The soul of the mount is the eyes, and if the eyes are dirty, you'll be surprised how much difference it'll make. It'll bring so much more life into that mount if you got a nice clean eye. On all the mounts that I put together, I redo all the texture on the nose pad. And so from time to time, you'll get some dust in between the nodules that doesn't want to come out. So what I'm using here is it's an orange oil-based furniture cleaner. Again, just dampen a paper towel a little bit and then just wipe that. It's okay if you get a little bit on the hair. It's not going to hurt it. And you can come back with your soft rag, kind of buff that out. This next one is a show horse shine. You can find them at like a Tractor Supply. Mel's Lawn and Garden carries them as well. It's a hair conditioner. Going to remove any excess dust that might be in there to apply it. I'm just going to spray it directly on there. When you do it, be careful not to spray it on the eye. It does come off, but you really got to polish it off. So just cover the eye. You can either spray it directly on the hair, which is what I normally do, or you can use a rag, dampen the entire mount. Come back with a paper towel, or you can use a soft rag equally as well, and just kind of wipe with the grain of the hair. It actually will help groom it as well. If you got some areas of the hair that are kind of sticking up out of place, once you spray the show sheen on there, you can come back. I usually just use like a soft brass brush and brush the hair back down into place. If you have one that's really dirty, just keep repeating the process. Just spray and then wipe with the paper towel, and you'll be able to see the dirt coming off. And then just repeat it with a clean paper towel. Keep repeating it, and after a while, you'll get a good portion of the dirt off of it.
I tell you, I got a box that I built. It's insulated. It's made out of waterproof plywood. And if they ever pass that, they're going to take your guns away. I'm going to grease them good up with some axle grease from my farming days. And I'm going to bury that sucker in the woods. they're not taking my guns. I'll say like old Charlton has when he held that gun up from my dead and nerveless hand. Come and get her. They ain't taking my guns.
I'm with you.
Absolutely.
906 Outdoors is brought to you in part by Christ, your Northwoods neighborhood store. It's time for a 906 Outdoors Wild Game Break, brought to you by Orion Hunting Products. Today, a behind-the-scenes look at the wall panels.
We use 3D modeling software to design the panels and then build all of those individual components into a full assembly. Each blind is made up of 10 panels, and then we'll design each one of those to build that final product. So we manufacture these panels fully in-house, aluminum, 2 inches of foam insulation, another piece of aluminum, and then carpeting. And we trim that all out, and that gives us this really structural insulated panel, great for noise reduction, a blackout interior for hiding movement, and also absorbing all that sound on the inside. Great weather durability. Awnings help keep that water off the window. Nice bulb seals to wipe that water away, as well as rest your weapon if you have a crossbow or a rifle. So we manufacture these panels fully in-house, aluminum, 2 inches of foam insulation, another piece of aluminum, and then carpeting. So we'll trim out all the windows, we'll build up the bulb seals in that window, and we'll put what we call the uprights on. And that's that interfacing piece that we have a patent on that allows for this product to go together really easily. And we trim that all out, and that gives us this really structural insulated panel, great for noise reduction, a blackout interior for hiding movement, and also absorbing all that sound on the inside. For our windows, we use a 1/4 inch acrylic material, super durable, very good for impact resistance. You can get that in tinted or clear as an option. So this is the finalized panel that we'll package up. We currently have a patent on the modular concept, which is really the unique aspect of our product. Each of these panels weigh between 20 and 40 pounds, allow the operator to pick up and manipulate. It's all aluminum construction. Line it up, drop it down, and throw some latches. Our product, our 6x6 product, will be made up of 4 small panels with vertical windows and 4 big panels, one of which being the door with horizontal windows. We call that a combo, archery hunting out of vertical windows and then gun or crossbow hunting out of the horizontal windows. Orion Hunting Product blinds and towers are proudly made in the USA, proudly made here in the UP.
As long as I can get up in the morning and get out in the woods, I'm going out in the woods. And I told Mom, she said, "Where are you going hunting?" I said, "Wherever I think the deer are." And she said, "What if something happens to you?" I said, "Don't do nothing for 3 days. I might be on a wounded buck." And trailing them, I said, "In 3 days," I said, "you talk to some of them young fellas that roam around on these cars and these side roads and stuff, and they find my pickup truck, tell them to tell you where it is. You go out where that pickup truck is," I said, "and you stand there just when it turns daylight in the morning, and you'll see the ravens circle. When they come down, you go over there, and that's where I'll be. But you gotta wait 3 days.
At least now
I don't want nobody out there looking for me, and I'm just taking a rest."
But now I know where he's at. He's back here in our lab.
But you don't know either. I might wound a buck, and if I get on that buck, I ain't leaving it. I stick with it till I get it.
That used to be,
Well, I can still do it. It might take me a little longer with the hound. I like to think that I never miss too much. I told my kids when my working days are over and my time has come to pass, I don't want any tears. I want you to come up and take a look at me when I'm laying there and say, "That old fart never missed too much." And I still live by that. I told my wife, don't worry about me. I said, I ain't going till I'm ready. And the old fella comes after me, he better send help. Because I'm going to hold on to every tree and brush and steel posts and everything that I go by. I ain't going peacefully. I still have a good time. And I tell you, it's worked for me so far. There's damn few guys that made 3 amphibious landings and are still running on this face of this earth. There's 2 things you should be really for live through life and have a good time. One is to be lucky, and the other thing is don't let nothing bother you.
How much will hunting change in the years to come? Will it be better? Worse? How will the next generation of hunters shape its future? How will they hunt? What shape will our deer herd be in 10, 20, or 50 years from now? Many of the changes that will happen over the next several years will indeed be influenced by what we as hunters do today, by what we teach that next generation. If I'm lucky enough to be sitting in a chair at 94 years old, talking to some guy with a camera, I hope I'll have my own list of stories that I'm proud to tell. And I hope that I can look back at my life and be as happy as Slip.
We've been married 67 years, and I never said hard luck story, complain about this, if I wouldn't have done this, I would have did this or something. Never. What I did in my life is part of my living. If you don't hit some bumps in the road, you'll never know whether you lived or not or what it felt like to hit a bump. You gotta hit a bump. Sometimes they're a little rougher than others. Maybe they didn't have all the good ending, but they all ran up in the same place anyway. You might just well enjoy it. It's worked for me. Worked for me.
Feel free to join us on Facebook or visit us at 906outdoors.com. Thanks for watching, and we invite you to join us next week for another adventure right here on 906 Outdoors.